Tim asked me to come on a show. I can't remember how many years ago it was. And we had Tim on when he was doing video at Occupy 10, 11 years ago, maybe. And then he asked me to come on his show a couple of years ago before he got really big, I think it was. Maybe just as he was. I don't know. I really didn't have a sense of what he was doing. I just felt like, I get asked to do it if I have time. Sometimes it takes a while for me to and I forget. But I went and I did his show, and I don't remember much about it, to be totally honest. I just remember him saying that I was like Thanos, and I had yet to, my son was only 5 at that time. I had to wait until he became 7 or 7.5, maybe even 8, before I found out who Thanos was. And we watched that movie together, and Saul really enjoyed that movie. I didn't, but at that time, Tim had said I was like Thanos. And frankly, it really didn't mean much to me, and it still doesn't. And then Tim put out during COVID a call for people to debate him from the left. He said nobody would do it. And so I said, I'll do it. And then he gets back to me and he says, okay, how about next, whatever, Monday? And I'm like, sure. Let's do it. And I said, Zoom or Skype or whatever it is. And he said, no, you have to come into studio. And I'm like, well, I can't come down on a Monday. I do a 5-day-a-week show, and I've got 2 kids.
He's in DC.
I think he was in DC or Maryland or somewhere around there. I don't know. But B, dude, I'm not going into a closed studio with you with a pandemic going on. Like, I'm not in the, I know guys my age who died of COVID, and I'm
not to mention like your situation with your kids and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure Tim Pool's studio is in his house. I might be wrong about that, but I saw somebody say that.
I'm pretty sure it is too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, like I'm not going to do that. But and he said, well, I can't do Zoom because I don't have the internet in my studio or something to that effect. And I was like, all right, whatever. But recently, obviously, I'm vaxxed. My situation with my kids are a little more settled. They're back into a routine now. They're going to school. They're going to camp. And so I said I was open to debating Tim. But Tim has now apparently found a reason not to disinvite me.
He said that he couldn't do it because he hosts his own show. He did mention COVID, to be fair. But then he turns it into his tweet where he's coming after me, implying we were unsafe when we followed every COVID guideline. We have hand sanitizer everywhere, and we were allowed to do the show as per normal guidelines. The room is extremely well ventilated. You can probably hear the fans. But Sam thought it would be good to lie, to make things up, because he never wanted to come here in the first place. And even after he knew it was in studio and the 13th is open and we will pay for everything and he agreed to do it, it was all just a big con. Sam Seder is a lying coward. And that's why people like Steven Crowder should not debate him. And that's why Steven was right for cutting him off and saying no. And Ethan Klein is damaging everything, making it all worse. Because his interest is personal gain for his pop culture crap. He doesn't know what he's talking about, so he would rather watch people suffer if it gives him a few extra bucks. That's Ethan Klein.
Oh, he's very impassioned on behalf of his friend Steven.
At least we've got to the point where we're acknowledging Steven's suffering. I think that's a big milestone.
Yes, I know. Well, I mean, Tim's begun to accept it. Maybe he heard it from the horse's mouth.
So to be clear, going into a closed studio with ventilation was perfectly in line with the CDC guidelines, and I was lying by saying that I didn't want to go into his studio during the height of a pandemic with the second wave coming. And incidentally, if you go back, I think you look at those tweet exchanges, or maybe it's in our DMs, he denied there was a second wave coming. And in fact, there was a second wave coming. I think he asked me in, sometime in like November or October. I can't remember exactly. And I said, there's a second wave coming. And he's like, no, there's not. And there turned out to be, yes, quite a bit of a second wave come December, in fact.
Indeed, bigger than the first wave.
hand sanitizer everywhere. So
hand sanitizer, of
God,
course,
dude.
for a disease that it was aerosolized.
So
and
stupid.
It's like, and you know, it sort of depends on where those vents are, frankly. If the vents are behind him, I'd be more interested in coming than if they're behind me. Let's put it that way. But nevertheless, as soon as I'm vaccinated, I'm willing to go. And now, conveniently, he is so appalled by me that invitation won't happen. A real lost opportunity. Everything is ruined, as he says. It is, it is ruined. It is ruined. It is ruined. But
you soiled it.
the fact of the matter is, these people care about free speech. They hate the idea that you could be demonetized or kicked off platforms. They would never, ever do this. They bemoan the blacklists that exist in media for people like that. For them, but not thee, or vice versa. I'll let Tim explain.
Sam Seder's blacklisted by a lot of podcast networks. I'm not exaggerating. This is not a joke. Yes, there are many large podcasts that have outright said they will never work with him, and has nothing to do with being afraid to debate him. Sam Seder's off the list.
Culture.
This guy is a manipulative, lying con man. That's why Crowder doesn't want to have anything to do with him. That's why all the people Crowder mentioned don't want to have anything to do with him. And that's why Sam Seder makes all these videos and he focuses on drama. I mean, the man's obsession with Dave Rubin is laughable. It's absolutely laughable.
But I'm not
I
laughing.
think it's quite fun, to be honest with
Like,
you.
if it's laughable, you usually laugh. But anyway.
Yeah, right.
We will get to Dave Rubin today, incidentally. But we should say that, obviously, anybody who's watching this video can test Tim's premise. Our show is not a YouTube show like Tim's. I've said in the past, I knew someone who worked with Tim at, I think it was Advice, if I remember correctly, who visited Tim back when his place was in New Jersey. Tim specifically said, the great thing about this is I barely have to do any reading and I am making a ton of money. And he has made a huge amount of money for someone who has no idea what he's talking about. You can go and look at the long form interview we do almost every day on this program. Today it was about the Sackler family and the opioid crisis. Yesterday it was about reparations. The day before that, it was about U.S. involvement in NATO. These, of course, are all about online drama. And that's this week, and it's Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. That's 3 hours of content right there.
Yeah, whereas Tim Pool's content is entirely like, look at this anti-racist being too extreme. That's all he ever does. He did like 25 videos on Jussie Smollett lying about that whole scenario. Like, that's
to be fair, he also
what he
does analysis like Donald Trump's probably going to win in a landslide.
Right.
So he also does that.
Oh, he was doing some inflation coverage like last week. So we'll see when he tries to dip his toes into serious issues how that goes.
Yes.
Is he on the Bitcoin train?
Pretty sure.
Crypto bro.
I will reiterate, Tim, I am happy to come to your studio. I will pay to go down there. I will put myself up. I am vaccinated now. I am unworried about going into your studio, even though I'm sure I should be able to trust you because of with all your ventilation systems, et cetera, et cetera. Sure, you would have let us know if there was any type of issue with ventilation or anything like that. We all know how well you took care of your employee's cat, for instance. So I'm sure that I would have achieved the exact same measure of care that you provided for the cat that you really took care of for even longer than the owner apparently wanted you to. So that's great. That's Tim Pool, ladies and gentlemen.